Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're getting highly tactical. We aren't just going to sit here and talk about the vague, abstract idea of cybersecurity. Nope. We're going to architect your ultimate defense against digital threats using the comprehensive crisis frameworks developed by Cyber Ambassador. Seriously, if you've ever wondered how major organizations survive catastrophic data breaches or ransomware attacks without entirely collapsing, well, you are in exactly the right place.
Look, let's just be real for a second. The digital battlefield out there, it is entirely unforgiving. Every single day, the threats get smarter, faster, and way more devastating. And simply hoping you won't be targeted, yeah, that's not a strategy. That's a massive vulnerability. We really have to shift our mindset from if it happens to when it happens. So ask yourself, are you structurally, culturally, and technically prepared to take a hit and actually keep functioning?
Okay, let's dive right into this. A Cyber Crisis Management Plan, or CCMP, is exactly what you need to answer that question with a confident yes. By Cyber Ambassador's definition, this is the comprehensive planning and preparation for cyber crisis situations. It is your definitive shield. A CCMP takes the absolute chaos, panic, and confusion of a sudden cyber attack and transforms it into a calculated, end-to-end crisis response. Basically, it's the ultimate playbook you reach for when the alarms start ringing.
Here is our strategic briefing protocol for today: the cyber crisis threat, the CCMP planning framework, the 4 phases of planning, the essential plan components, and finally, some frontline cyber tips.
Starting off with Section 1, the cyber crisis threat.
When a severe breach happens, time is your most precious and, honestly, your most scarce resource. According to these Cyber Ambassador protocols, having an emergency incident response team ready and available 24/7 is an absolute core pillar of survival. You literally cannot wait until Monday morning to deal with a system lockdown that happens on a Friday night. You need a virtual incident response team that's perpetually on standby, ready to engage the threat, isolate compromised systems, and begin mitigating the damage the very second a vulnerability is exploited. Moving on to Section 2, the CCMP planning framework. This framework is so crucial because it breaks down abstract compliance into 4 concrete, actionable pillars of readiness. First, risk assessment. You've got to conduct a comprehensive threat analysis just to know where your weak points actually are. Second is team structure. You must define exact roles and responsibilities so everyone knows exactly who's in charge of what during a crisis. Third, documentation. You need a complete policy framework. Nothing left to memory. Everything written down. And fourth, drills and testing. Regular preparedness exercises to make absolutely sure those first 3 pillars hold up under pressure.
Up next, Section 3, 4 phases of planning.
So, here is the complete life cycle of crisis planning. Phase 1 is preparation, where you align your risk analysis with your planning strategy. Phase 2 is development, which is where the heavy lifting of documenting all those policies and procedures happens. Phase 3 is implementation. This is where you actively deploy the systems, technologies, and communication channels. But Phase 4, maintenance, is where most organizations completely fail. A CCMP is a living document, right? It requires regular updates and drills to keep pace with evolving threats. Let's look at Section 4, essential plan components. The crucial point here is that a successful CCMP requires a highly structured response matrix. First, you need incident classification to instantly understand the severity level of an attack. Like, is it a minor phishing attempt or a full-blown ransomware lockdown? Next, you need your response teams mapped out with granular responsibilities. And crucially, you need communications. Pre-drafted templates and protocols literally save you from saying the wrong thing to stakeholders or the public when everyone's panicking. Finally, continuity, the exact recovery procedures you need to get your business back online. I really want to pause and emphasize this concept from the Cyber Ambassador framework. A plan that only exists on paper is entirely useless if it fails out in the field. You have to stress test your stakeholder coordination framework relentlessly. Regular drills and training exercises expose the gaps in your logic way before a real attacker does. Think of it exactly like a fire drill. You don't wait for the building to be burning to figure out where the exits are, right? And finally, Section 5, frontline cyber tips. First up is what we can call authentication armor. These are basically the locks on your digital doors. You need long, unique passwords loaded with symbols. But honestly, passwords just aren't enough anymore, which is why enabling multi-factor authentication everywhere is your heaviest deadbolt. And never, under any circumstances, share your OTP, your one-time password, with anyone. Also, physically lock your devices with a PIN or password, and if you're on a shared computer, always verify you have completely logged out.
Next, we've got to lock down how your data travels. Never trust public Wi-Fi for banking or sensitive confidential work. Your data is incredibly vulnerable in transit there. Secure your own Wi-Fi at home and work with strong passwords. Always check for that HTTPS secure lock icon in your browser before entering sensitive data. When you're transferring money, meticulously verify the bank or UPI details before executing the payment, and make it a habit to avoid saving your credit card details online wherever you can. Now, let's talk about social engineering. Attackers are evolving rapidly, and human error is basically their favorite exploit. Never click unknown or suspiciously shortened links. Be incredibly wary of fake high-paying job offers or investment schemes that seem too good to be true, because they are almost always traps. Do not trust unexpected phone calls asking for personal data, and be highly vigilant about emerging threats like deepfake voice scams, where AI is literally used to mimic the voice of a colleague or a loved one in distress. Defending your hardware is just as important. You have got to keep your system and your applications constantly updated. Those updates contain vital security patches. Trust only official app stores for your software to avoid malware. Ensure you have a reliable antivirus solution running, and consistently review the permissions you're granting to applications. But most importantly, back up your important files regularly. If you get hit with ransomware, a secure, disconnected backup is your ultimate escape hatch. Finally, you must minimize your digital footprint to reduce your attack surface. Avoid oversharing personal details online that could easily be used to guess your security questions. It's totally critical to protect high-value identifiers like your Aadhaar and PAN details. Actually, you should go into your phone settings right now and enable a SIM lock to prevent SIM swap fraud. It's a highly destructive tactic. And definitely tighten up your social media privacy settings, secure your browser, and routinely clear those cookies. Now, even with the perfect CCMP and all the frontline vigilance in the world, breaches can still happen. If your perimeter is breached and you become a victim of a cybercrime, your immediate, absolute priority is to report the incident. Dial 1930 immediately to alert authorities and begin the process of neutralizing the threat. In containment, speed is literally everything. We've explored the architecture of a cyber crisis management plan, and we've armed you with the frontline tactics you need to survive the digital ecosystem. But out on the digital front line, vigilance isn't just a one-time project. It has to be a daily practice. A plan is just a piece of paper until you bring it to life through discipline and awareness. So, I leave you with this final thought to consider for your own organization. Now that you know exactly what a robust defense looks like, what is the very first step you're going to take today to start building it?